Good afternoon. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the panel 6 on building the backbone, grid, storage, CCUS, and water supply. I'm Jawad Al-Kharraz, CEO of WESN, Water Energy Climate Expert Network. Formerly, I was the Executive Director of the Regional Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency in Cairo. Before that, I was the Head of Research at the Middle East Desalination Research Center. I'm honored to moderate this session with an impressive lineup of panelists. So probably, as you have seen during the day, we spoke about different aspects of the power-to-X scaling. We talked about policies. We talked about de-risking, the finance engineering of power-to-X project. Probably next session, they will talk about regulations and certification. All these aspects are very important. But obviously, infrastructure is one of the most important aspects, because if we really want to go forward to the era of green hydrogen, we need to have the infrastructure ready for this power-to-X scaling. I'm talking about infrastructure, so I'm talking about, as I said, so the grids. So the grids should evolve to accommodate the renewable energy, the increase in renewable energy capacities, and talking about also how to transport green hydrogen, so the pipelines and storage, but also the water supply, which is also important, as you know, is an input for the electrolyzers to produce green hydrogen and green ammonia, etc. So as I say, so we have an impressive lineup of panelists with us today. So we have with us Mr. Farouk Rayad, CTO of EDF Renewables Morocco. Welcome to the stage. Thank you very much. We have with us also Mr. Zaki Mohammed, Director of Sustainability Advisory at GORD, which is based in Qatar. We have also with us, thank you, Mr. Zaki. We have also with us Dr. Stefan Stollenberg, Vice President of Business Development and Sales at Hydrogeneous, company based in Germany. Thank you, Dr. Stefan. We have also with us Dr. Mohammed Ben Zaria, Director General of OMCO in Morocco. Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed. And finally, Dr. Hisham Feniri, Director of the International Water Research Institute. Thank you very much for making it to our panel. So as I said, we're going to delve into the challenges of how this kind of infrastructure we can convert the challenges to opportunities, to as I said, to have this upscaling of power-to-X. And as you know, in our region, so we have been, the energy transition have been accelerating, mainly in Morocco. So as you know, we have ambitious plans for renewable energy. And we were one of the first countries to launch our roadmap of green hydrogen. The same happened also in other countries like in Egypt, in Tunisia, and Jordan. So it's clear that we, thanks to the policies that have been adopted, the reforms at the level of policies, regulations, and incentives to attract off-takers, we came up with very competitive electricity prices from renewables. And obviously, we are also very close to the European market that will be very demanding of the green hydrogen derivative in the next decade. So all this make us really potentially a possible hub of green hydrogen and power-to-X in general. So without further ado, I would like first to give the floor to the panelists to present themselves and give us, probably each one of you, the key infrastructure priority from your perspective for this P2X upscaling. And after that, we may have 2 rounds of questions to go into the challenges and then to the opportunities or the solutions. So I will start with you, Farouk. So over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, distinguished guests. Excellencies. So I'm Farouk Rayad, as explained. I'm the CTO of EDF Power Solution in Morocco. So EDF is developing wind farms, solar plant in Morocco for the past decade. We've been successfully operating 2 wind farms in Morocco, in the northern of Morocco. Been with the group for the last 15 years, And we are here in Morocco to accompany the development of renewable energy grids, and I think we'll have the opportunity to discuss about the next development in grids, in particular to support Power-to-X projects. I can develop obviously on this part if it's the way you want to. Yeah. Okay. So if we're going to tackle directly the topic of the grid, and the question that we have today is the grid strong enough to support the development of Power-to-X projects? I think a clear answer is no, but obviously the development of this Power-to-X project will allow us and push us to develop the grid. And we know that today the grid is almost saturated, or will be saturated quickly with the future renewable energy projects that we have under development. And what is clear is that the Power-to-X plant will drive the development of the grid. It's a great opportunity for the country. It's a great opportunity for investors, because as we'll see, I think a little bit later, we'll have to find new ways to develop and finance those grid projects, and it will become let's say a field of industry that will need to be developed in a way that it can support all that we want to do. And so I think the grid is one of the most important infrastructure if we want to actually deliver the ambition of Morocco. So at the rhythm of development of the Power-to-X project, I think that we should have enough time to plan properly these grid projects. Part of the grid development will be actually held by the developers, obviously in partnership with ONE, the grid operator of Morocco. And depending on how these projects are planned in terms of grid needs, this will have a different impact on the grid, and an update, I guess, on the plan of ONE of the grid development.
If you don't mind, Mr.
Sure.
Farouk, I will come back to you. So just to give 1 minute to each,
Yeah.
and then I will come back to you. Thank you so much. So Mr. Zaki, please.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Zaki. I'm representing GORD, Gulf Organization for Research and Development. We are a 100% Qatari-owned organization, not-for-profit organization. And our business, I can say, runs mostly around standard settings, research and development, and training, capacity building. And again, we have two affiliates like Global Carbon Council, which is the first voluntary carbon market in the Global South to have approval from ICROA and CORSIA program for the flight aircraft emission detection. And also we have Global Accreditation Bureau, which is, the things I'll be talking around today more on standard settings and permitting and requirements around this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zaki. Dr. Stefan.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Stefan Stollenberg. I have an engineering background, and I've been working in the natural gas and hydrogen industry since quite some years now. I've been working for OGE, for example, which is a TSO, a gas TSO in Germany, the biggest one in Germany, and then I switched over to E.ON Group, which is mostly focusing on the distribution grid, and I did a lot of hydrogen infrastructure projects there, like building electrolyzers, hydrogen pipelines, repurposing of existing natural gas pipelines to hydrogen, and even building ecosystems, including hydrogen applications. In the last years, I was more focused on hydrogen refueling stations, as I was in charge of building and managing the hydrogen mobility section of E.ON. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion. I forgot, now I'm quite new, since 1 month. I'm with Hydrogenius LOHC Technologies, and here I'm in charge for business development and sales, and I will tell you a little bit more about this later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Stefan. Mr. Benzaria.
Hello to all of us, to all of you. I am the General Director of OMCO. OMCO is a subsidiary of the Moroccan Office of Hydrocarbon and Mine, and is dedicated to operating and developing natural gas transport infrastructure. As such, I also have the responsibility of 2 strategic projects, the Nigeria-Morocco African Atlantic Gas Pipeline and the GME, the Maghreb-Europe Gas Pipeline, linking Morocco and Spain. He was graduated from École Nationale Supérieure des Arts et Métiers in Paris in 1993. And for 30 years, I have managed industrial projects across 3 continents, starting in the chemical sector with Procter & Gamble, then moving into nuclear energy, before spending more than 20 years installing gas pipeline with Total, Occidental Petroleum, Dolphin Energy, all around the world, in Africa, Nigeria and Angola, in Europe, France and Norway, in the Middle East, UAE and Qatar, or in Asia, in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore, and now I am in Morocco. This was often in extreme and highly challenging environment, such as in deep waters, under high temperature, high pressure, or extremely corrosive environment. Why I say that? During this 20 years journey, my main objective and duty was to fight against hydrogen. Today, finding friendly solution to transport hydrogen is a great and challenge a challenge to me and in other sectors. In 2018, I joined ONIM to manage the Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline project, and since 2023, I have been leading OMCO. The main challenge we are talking today is to develop high capex infrastructure, but without slowing down the development of the hydrogen. That's the case, challenge for us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benzaria, for these insights. Dr. Hisham.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. Pleasure to be here. So I'm a professor at University Mohammed VI Polytechnique. I've made my career abroad, mostly in Europe, North America. I also spent some time in Qatar to help establish the Biomedical Research Institute, the Qatar Biomedical Research Institute, and a few other things. So I am a chemist and chemical biologist that evolved towards chemical engineering and bioengineering. Very much interested in chemical problems of materials in general. And so I come here, I suppose, because of the water issue. So I'm as director of the International Water Research Institute at UM6P. I developed some knowledge in this area, but I never pretend to be better than my colleagues at the Institute. They are the real experts. But nevertheless, I think I just want to say that the Institute is covering a very broad spectrum of activities in relation to the water cycle, from the snowpacks to the water tables, the rivers. We're looking at the health of these water tables and their current situation in Morocco, given the climate deregulation that we're living here in Morocco, and particularly in the, more generally in the Mediterranean basin. We also are into water technologies. So we're working closely with OCP Green Water, a subsidiary of OCP Group, that produces a fairly significant amount of water for a number of cities, but also is responsible for contributing to making OCP Group a zero carbon footprint organization. So if you want to make hydrogen, you need water, okay? And you need, for each ton of hydrogen, you're going to need between 8 and 10 tons of water. And just reading through the literature, I see that the ideal, or to be able to supply the world, will need somewhere around 600 million tons of hydrogen. So that translates to 6 billion cubic meters of water. And you may also ask yourself, well, what does Morocco do in this business, considering that we are suffering from from water scarcity and from climate change. But OCP Group has been a leader in this field. They have pushed this, the production of water, the procurement of water through desalination stations. And Morocco will reach probably around 1.9, maybe 2 billion cubic meters by 2030. It's still not enough to cover everything that we want to do in this country. But at least it gives you an idea about the potential. I think once there are off-takers of this water, notably the hydrogen industry, I don't see us stopping at 2 billion. I think we can reach 12, 16, or 20 billion cubic meters down the road. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hisham. Excellent overviews. So already highlight the interconnected challenges, and with the very quite diversified expertise here in the panel. So I will come back to you, Mr. Farouk, regarding the first question. Is our current electrical grid strong enough to power all the new Power-to-X plants in the pipeline, and what upgrade should be essential or important on this regard?
Thank you. Sorry, I think I started a little bit, so I'll start back. So, as I said initially, I think that the grid actually is not strong enough, but that's quite normal because the grid will be developed in parallel of the development of the Power-to-X plants. I think also that the timing and the schedules for those projects should allow us to plan properly for the development of the grid. There's also one thing to consider is that we need to finalize the studies of the current projects in order to know exactly what are the needs for these projects, and then we can define actually where we should develop the grid and how we should develop the grid in terms of capacity, in terms of technology, in order to stabilize the grid, because that's the ultimate goal at the end of the day. So part of the grid development and the grid needs will be held by the developers, another part by ONE, who is already obviously developing the grid as part of their national plan. And this is obviously a key stakeholder in the development and to support the development of Power-to-X project. ONE will be there for the grid, where they will be also solicited for the water, obviously. And so when we talk about the grid and the strength of the grid, I think we should look at it beyond the only Power-to-X project. We have a huge ambition in renewable energy development, and this is quite challenging to have such an important capacity of renewable energy installed on a grid and be able to handle the balance of the grid. So that's why, as we say, the goal is to bring energy where it's needed and when it's needed. That's why electricity networks will allow us to bring electricity where it's needed, and we need to think about technologies, storage, for example, in order to be able to answer to the question to when we can distribute this electricity and also help the grid to stay balanced. So that's why we should aim at developing different kind of storage solutions on the grid, be it battery systems. The price is starting to be very low. I mean, low enough to be competitive. But we should try also to develop steps. Here in Morocco, we have this opportunity. It's not easy to develop steps projects. It should be launched right away, because at the end of the day, the idea is to try to match the progress of these Power-to-X projects with the development of the grid and the additional technology. I think that we can speak a long time about what is needed on the grid. The main thing is that if you want to do this rationally, you need to have all the data in order to make relevant proposals. I guess that obviously ONE is doing this work and is connected with all the developers in order to define what is the strategy of development of the grid. As I said, I think we'll come back to it in terms of financing these projects. We need to be innovative because so far ONE has been investing and the state has been investing in the development of the grid. Now with what is needed in terms of CapEx and the timing that we need to respect should push us to look at a different type of financing of this grid. To conclude at least this first intervention, I want to say that we see it as a great opportunity, as I said, for investors, for the country, but also for a lot of additional stakeholders. We have here people from UMC SPE. There is a real opportunity to develop an expertise and knowledge on the grid technologies. It's an industry by itself. And today in Morocco, we'll have an interesting mix in our grid that will push us to innovate, find solution, be using cutting-edge technologies in our Moroccan grid. And I guess that this should be a very, very interesting path for the energy sector in general. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Farouk, for highlighting the importance of grid resilience, the storage integration, and definitely, I mean, flexibility is key here. Thank you very much. So we will go now to the next bottleneck, so the pipelines and storage with Mr. Zaki. From your perspective, Mr. Zaki, what's the biggest challenge right now when it comes to building new hydrogen and carbon capture pipelines?
Thank you. In short, if I can say, three things. One is the standard setting, like I said, permittability, and then investability and bankability of the projects. Like, if we can have a common regulation around piping, where, when you are upgrading from existing to the new one, where you can cater to hydrogen as well as carbon for storage and for pushing out the other things. So it should have a uniform standards, so where every region doesn't have their own requirements in terms of piping, and then every time in each region the contractors and the companies who are building this, they are redesigning to fix it. So if there is more of a common standards or permitting thing required, I'll give an example like what we have done in Qatar with our Global Accreditation Bureau. We have set up like a base line requirements in common, where all the projects who are applying for, let's say, carbon, or we have developed a common framework for all the SMEs and MSMEs in Qatar with the Qatar Development Bank for on ESG as well as CBAM requirement for the import and export to European Union. So we have set a common framework for guidelines so that all the SMEs can align their production, their implementation and construction phases on both the ESG requirements, which is one of the mandatory requirements coming up, and the CBAM requirements. And then based on this, the local accreditation body can be set up. For example, we can have IRISEN leading the thing where you can operationalize it using local accreditation and certification. And then with this, they can have a permitting and they can have common standard set. So this can become a more we can remove this bottleneck and make it much more easier so that everyone is following, and we can have common systems of setting and seeing the implementation of the standard settings. And then there are other things where you can make the project more investability. So we can connect it with voluntary carbon market scheme or carbon market, where projects under Global Carbon Council can be registered and they can take it forward, where we have done this for various. I'm just giving an example from carbon perspective as well. So this can be connected, and passive income through carbon credits can be generated, and then this can be scaled up to a different bigger level, where you can have clear demonstration of a project which is done at a lower or a smaller scale can be done at a bigger level as well. So I think to sum up quickly, I believe standard setting, permittability should be the basic core at the, looking at the infrastructure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zaki, for these really insightful examples that you mentioned. So after the pipelines and storage, we would love to go to Dr. Hisham to speak about water, which is often overlooked, why it's really critical. Dr. Hisham, can we produce really enough water or clean water for large-scale hydrogen production without competing with local communities or without, entering in competition with other sectors? We know that with this very ambitious desalination program in Morocco, we're aiming at producing probably 1.7 billion cubic meter per year by 2030. And part of it obviously for drinking purposes, and part of it for agriculture now, the second use. But now with this third use of producing green hydrogen, green ammonia, so what's your perspective on that? Thank you.
Well, that's an excellent question. Morocco can provide water for potable water for the entire population. We have challenges with agriculture. I think irrigating intensive agriculture has put a lot of pressure on our water tables. And so we're starting to see more and more desalination stations along the coastal areas of Morocco. We have 3,500 kilometers of coastal areas in the Mediterranean and the Atlantic Ocean. And so we could potentially produce all the water that we need for this agriculture. Again, the challenge is the off-takers. We can't produce this water. I think it's not really a question of financing these projects. But if you produce 5, 6, 10 billion cubic meters of water, you have to do something with it. And so I think the economy, or the strategy generally, it follows the market. I don't think it's going to be a challenge to produce that water for hydrogen production. As I mentioned, if we supply all the hydrogen of the entire planet, it's going to be 6 billion cubic meters of water. So is that really impossible? I mean, currently the world produces somewhere around 22 billion cubic meters of desal water, particularly in Saudi Arabia, in the Emirates, Qatar, and Morocco, and other countries. And we are at one point, we're going to be at one point between 1.7 and I'm optimistic, I'd say 2 billion cubic meters by 2030. But there's no reason why we cannot go to 4 or 8 or 16 billion cubic meters. So I don't see that as a real challenge. I think we need to get there are a lot of other challenges actually that we need to address, and I don't want to answer questions that are not related to your question now, but we'll come back to those. So the bottom line is if there are investors interested in setting up their business here in terms of producing hydrogen, they would have to set up their own desalination stations, in my opinion. I mean, it makes sense. And in terms of their energy, because that process also consumes energy, it's an electrocatalytic process. You have to furnish 2 electrons to break the water of molecule and generate the hydrogen, and that's energy consuming. And so where is that energy going to come from? From solar. So I think the challenge would be if we want to produce the water, let's not forget it's about 3 kilowatt hour per cubic meter. That's the other, the other side of the coin. So while the technology is here and the opportunities are here, we have to ensure that we have all the energy we need to make this water green. And for that, you probably know that Morocco has somewhere around 12 gigawatt of electrical energy this year, with 5 roughly of renewable. And so if we want to produce large quantities of hydrogen, we're going to have to ensure that we have the appropriate amount of renewable energy. And that could also be part of the strategy of the investor who wants to settle here and with their desalination stations, and also include this component, which is the production of the energy, of the electricity. Now, the other dimension to this problem is the grid. Will the grid be able to absorb all this energy and deliver it to the right places? And from what I understand, I'm not expert in grid technology, but I hear from various events like this that Morocco is pushing very hard to upgrade the grid to ensure that we can handle, I'm not going to give you a number because I don't know it exactly, but to handle much larger quantities of energy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hisham, for this insightful ideas, especially that water doesn't seem to be a challenge. To produce green hydrogen. Just a very quick question. I'm wondering then if it's not a challenge, it could be definitely an opportunity, because when we see that the contribution of the cost of desalinated water into the cost of 1 kilogram green hydrogen is like 1 or 2% maximum, so it's nothing. So I'm wondering if the future green hydrogen project or Power-to-X project, probably we can have like water for drinking or water for agriculture as a byproduct. Probably we can have a very competitive price, subsidized by the production of eventually green hydrogen or green ammonia. I don't know, what do you think about this possibility?
Absolutely. That's part of our vision for making water or green water or desal water accessible to the larger population, not just for these industrial applications, but particularly for agriculture. Agriculture in Morocco is a very important sector. It's vital, it's essential, and it consumes a lot of water. So we need to produce that water, and we need to subsidize it somehow through these mechanisms that you just mentioned.
Thank you very much. Now I will give the floor to Stefan. So as we discussed the critical infrastructure for hydrogen storage and transport, could you share how your technology, actually LOC technology, enables safe and efficient end-to-end hydrogen imports from regions like MENA, from MENA to Europe, from Morocco to Europe, including the advantages over alternative like ammonia eventually?
Yes, of course, and I brought even a couple of slides to illustrate the idea and our approach, how we will do it. Don't know if that works. Do you see something? No, me neither. Now. Yes, here we are. So, what is LOHC all about? First of all, what does LOHC stand for? So LOHC is an abbreviation for liquid organic hydrogen carrier, and it's in the end a very safe and efficient way to store and to transport hydrogen to a region where it's needed. If you imagine the following scenario, we have a very nice country with huge renewable potential where we can produce large amounts of hydrogen, as here in Morocco, for example. Then we could imagine to build there a plant in which we use a carrier oil. I brought some of this. This, for example, is something like this. I can show you. You can take it. And then we combine or load this carrier oil with hydrogen, and can then be transported via ship, via trucks, via train, whatever, because in the end it's like can treat it like diesel, for example, and it looks pretty similar. This is the loaded hydrogen, so not a big difference. And then we can transport it via ship, for example, to other locations in the world where hydrogen might be needed. We see here the illustration of a ship and then a terminal or a port somewhere maybe in Northern Europe, and then you can dehydrogenate it again or reconvert it again. That means that you can separate the hydrogen, the loaded LOHC, from the hydrogen, and then you get gaseous hydrogen out of it and unload it virgin carrier oil. We use, by the way, benzyl toluene for this. And this can be reused again and again and again. You can imagine this a little bit like a deposit bottle that you can load and unload several hundred times. The advantage for this, is here. We have three principal advantages in the end. So first of all, we see that we don't need to handle molecular hydrogen itself, at least not in these large amounts. You can see it's like just like an oil or just like a liquid. It's hardly flammable with a very high flash point. It's non-explosive even when it's loaded with hydrogen. And it has a hazard potential comparable to diesel, so it's not very dangerous like maybe ammonia is. It is very flexible, and that's really one point I want to make, because you can use conventional liquid fuel infrastructure. That means tankers or tank trucks or storage devices, which are mostly already available in chemical plants or even in refineries. It can be handled at ambient temperature and pressure during storing and transport, as you have seen. It's just like a liquid, and it has no self-discharge over time, so it can be stored over months and months and doesn't have any losses, so that's quite an advantage. And in the end, it's quite efficient, because we have a competitive volumetric storage density, and this carrier material that we use for it is commercially available, reusable hundreds of times, as I mentioned before. And the interesting thing about it, if we dehydrogenate this, more than 99.9% hydrogen purity comes out of this process. So you can already use it directly, maybe not in fuel cell applications, but for other applications, it's really no problem to use it directly after this dehydrogenation process. That's what we're doing right now. We're scaling up the idea. We have, first of all, begun with laboratory units, very small amounts, very small capacities. We have produced some of them. We have then made one further step, produced containerized systems for storage and for release. That's also something that we are selling right now and that we can produce ourselves in our warehouse in Erlangen in Bayern. We have already delivered and commissioned 12 of these systems, because there are quite some research institutions or universities that are doing research on LOHC technique, and therefore we have delivered already quite a couple of systems. We are now in the next step. We delivered already a couple of commercial scale applications. One is, for example, stands beside a hydrogen refueling stations in Erlangen, where we demonstrated this on a quite larger scale, and we are about to commission one bigger device in the western part of Germany, in Jülich. There's one specific thing, because the one reactor who can do both in both ways. It can store and release in one reactor, let's say. And what we are doing right now is that we are building industrial scale-up units, where we have up to 20 tons of hydrogen per day we can store and also release them. We have a very interesting lighthouse project that we're doing right now. I will jump to this on the next slide. But this is only a step to our far vision that we want to do really large-scale plants for international hydrogen import and exports with more than 100 or 500 tons per day of hydrogen. We have already done some feasibility studies about this, several feasibility studies, which is quite interesting that we are about to kick off a new feasibility study which treats the export of H2 via LOHC from Morocco and Egypt to different European ports and locations. It's a public-private partnership, and we are still searching for local collaboration. So if you're interested in this, if you are willing to support this and maybe just know a little bit more about this, then please feel free to contact us afterwards, or my colleagues sitting here also in the plenum. Yes, and well, I brought this one very interesting project, one slide, my last slide today. This is the project LOHC Link, which combines 2 lighthouse projects to a comprehensive end-to-end value chain. This is, on the one hand side, the project Hector. This is a large storage plant in the Cologne region, in the western part of Germany. And there we have very much green RFNBO hydrogen, and we can there store it, transport it via trucks. That's the idea right now, to southern Bavaria, where we have different refineries that are willing to use this. And there we are building a large release plant, and that is going to be commissioned in 2027-28. And in the far future, it's also intended to do pipe injection to supply other customers in this southern Bavarian region. So just to mention, it's not only PowerPoint, but we are really doing LOHC on an industrial scale, and it's an important step for us towards this really international import and export. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stefan, for this very interesting presentation, showcasing your technologies as possibly a sort of game-changing career for green hydrogen transport, showing flexibility, probably safety and efficiency, to be able probably to bridge the renewables of the MENA to Europe. So thank you very much for highlighting this. And now I will go to Dr. Mohammed Ben Zaria, building on this innovative approach to hydrogen mobility. Let's, Mr. Ben Zaria, with your extensive experience in midstream gas project, as you mentioned earlier, and strategic initiative like the African Atlantic Gas Pipeline, could you outline the infrastructural context, key challenges in converting pipelines from methane to hydrogen, such as compression and material degradation, and so on, and the viable option for repurposing them to support clean energy transition? So can you elaborate on that? Thank you.
Thank you, Jawed. If you don't mind, I would like to do it in French, if it's possible. Anyway, the presentation is in English, so easy to understand. Ok, bonjour à tous. L'hydrogène produit à partir de sources d'énergie bas carbone représente une solution clé pour décarboner les secteurs difficiles à électrifier et accompagner l'intermittence des énergies renouvelables. Cependant, il ne peut être viable que produit à grande échelle et de manière compétitive. L'acheminement à grande échelle aussi, depuis des zones de production jusqu'au centre de consommation, reste l'un des principaux verrous économiques à lever. Dans ce contexte, la conversion des infrastructures existantes offre une opportunité unique. Alors, avant de développer cela, permettez-moi d'abord de dire quelques mots rapides sur la société que je dirige, OMCO. OMCO a été créé dans le cadre du processus d'externalisation progressive des activités midstream de l'Office national des hydrocarbures et des mines pour répondre aux exigences de neutralité concurrentielle. La principale mission d'OMCO est la gestion, opération et maintenance du gazoduc Maghreb-Europe, le GME, et à ce titre, avec un effectif de 50 collaborateurs, elle exerce la mission aujourd'hui de gestionnaire du réseau de transport. Cette responsabilité s'accompagne d'une démarche d'excellence illustrée par l'obtention des certifications ISO 9001 pour la qualité et ISO 45001 pour la santé et la sécurité au travail. Cela en attendant une prochaine certification ISO 14001, gage de notre engagement en faveur de la protection de l'environnement. OMCO accompagne aussi l'ONIM dans la mise en œuvre du projet stratégique du gazoduc africain Atlantique Nigeria-Maroc, né de la vision clairvoyante de Sa Majesté le Roi, que Dieu l'assiste. OMCO agit résolument sur la préparation des infrastructures marocaines à l'intégration de l'hydrogène vert, en conformité avec l'évolution des réseaux gaziers européens. L'Europe dispose d'un réseau de gazoducs d'environ 200 000 km connectés à l'Afrique du Nord. Cet héritage constitue un acquis de premier plan. Elle prévoit d'avoir en 2040 53 000 km d'hydrogénoducs, dont près de 60% issus de la reconversion d'anciens gazoducs. L'offre marocaine doit s'inscrire dans ce schéma de manière naturelle et complémentaire en visant une intégration au corridor sud-ouest européen qu'on appelle le H2Med, qui reliera l'Espagne, le Portugal, la France et l'Allemagne. Le gazoduc africain atlantique, le gazoduc GME, l'interconnexion gazière Maroc-Espagne, le projet Barmar qui reliera Barcelone à Marseille et les initiatives mauritaniennes autour de l'hydrogène vert renforcent la légitimité et le poids de cette intégration. Nous devons pour cela préparer la compatibilité de nos infrastructures pour le transport de l'hydrogène vert. Cela nécessite des ajustements technologiques, nous y travaillons, mais aussi une adaptation du cadre réglementaire. Alors, les particularités de l'hydrogène face au méthane. Alors, environ 5000 km d'hydrogénoducs existent dans le monde, dont près de 2000 km en Europe. Ils sont principalement utilisés dans l'industrie lourde. Lorsqu'il s'agit d'un transport à grande échelle, plusieurs défis majeurs apparaissent. Pour maintenir une énergie transportée équivalente à celle du méthane, les besoins en compression sont nettement plus élevés. Plus 7% pour un mélange à 10% d'hydrogène dans le gaz naturel, dans le méthane, plus 30% d'énergie supplémentaire lorsque le mélange est à 40%, et jusqu'à 210% lorsque on transporte 100% d'hydrogène. Un autre défi majeur qui se présente dans cette conversion, c'est la fragilisation par l'hydrogène des aciers. Ainsi, l'hydrogène peut s'adsorber à la paroi, se dissocier en atomes, puis diffuser dans le matériau et dégrader les propriétés mécaniques. Ainsi, la ductilité, c'est-à-dire la fragilité, donc la ductilité qui est le contraire de la fragilité, est réduite de 20 à 80%. La ténacité est diminuée de 35 à 70%. Et la propagation des fissures de fatigue est, elle, accélérée d'un facteur de 10 à 100. Au-delà de cela, s'ajoutent des enjeux de sécurité opérationnelle. Si la plage d'inflammabilité dans l'air du méthane est relativement étroite, 5 à 15% de concentration pour enclencher l'allumage d'une flamme, l'hydrogène présente une plage d'inflammabilité beaucoup plus large, de 4 à 75%. Cela signifie que la moindre étincelle aura des conséquences alors que la probabilité est plus faible pour le méthane. Une légère déformation tolérée dans le cas du gaz naturel devient problématique avec l'hydrogène. Ainsi, 58% des défauts détectés sont jugés critiques avec l'hydrogène, contre seulement 6% avec le méthane, en particulier au niveau des soudures, ce qui accroît la probabilité de rupture. Ces particularités soulèvent naturellement des interrogations légitimes sur la sécurité des hydrogénoducs convertis. Et les opérateurs devront déployer des méthodes d'inspection avancées, magnétiques, ultrasonores, électromagnétiques, capables de détecter des micro-fissures invisibles à l'œil nu. Ces contrôles devront être complétés par une maintenance renforcée. Mais rassurons-nous, les progrès scientifiques et les industriels ouvrent des solutions réalistes pour surmonter ces défis. On peut mettre en avant trois options de conversion pour les gazoducs transportant aujourd'hui du méthane pour pouvoir les convertir pour le transport de l'hydrogène. La première option consiste à maintenir les pipelines en l'état. L'avantage est certain, c'est un coût initial qui est limité, une mise en œuvre rapide, mais cela entraîne une baisse de la durée de vie et une multiplication des inspections. La deuxième option repose sur l'ajout d'inhibiteurs gazeux. Ainsi, le rajout d'une petite quantité d'oxygène dans l'hydrogène permet de limiter l'effet d'absorption et de diffusion à travers la paroi du pipe. Le seul problème de cette solution, qui est une solution efficace et économique, c'est que ça altère la pureté de l'hydrogène. La troisième option, enfin, est dite du pipe-in-pipe. Cette solution consiste à insérer un nouveau tube en polymère ou en inox à l'intérieur du gazoduc, ce qui est plus coûteux à terme, mais se révèle une solution robuste et durable. En fin de compte, quelle que soit l'option choisie, les simulations en cours illustrent clairement le potentiel de la reconversion, malgré toutes les contraintes que j'ai pu citer avant. Mais cela ne doit toutefois pas masquer un défi majeur, l'effort énergétique pour la compression. L'autoconsommation énergétique peut ainsi grimper à 2,1% contre seulement 0,5% avec le gaz naturel. L'autoconsommation, c'est l'énergie qu'il faut utiliser pour transporter une certaine quantité d'énergie. Donc 2,1% pour l'hydrogène, 0,5% pour le gaz naturel. Ainsi, le véritable enjeu n'est pas tant la reconversion que l'énergie nécessaire à la compression. C'est ce paramètre qui pèsera le plus lourd dans la compétitivité et la durabilité du transport de l'hydrogène à grande échelle. En conclusion, 3 enseignements essentiels se dégagent de notre réflexion. Premièrement, la reconversion des gazoducs vers l'hydrogène est ou sera à terme techniquement réalisable. Deuxièmement, cette reconversion apparaît économiquement viable, à condition toutefois de maîtriser le prix de l'énergie nécessaire à la compression. Troisièmement, et c'est déterminant, la décision finale ne dépendra pas uniquement de paramètres techniques ou financiers, elle reposera aussi sur des facteurs stratégiques, politiques et sociaux, comme le niveau d'acceptabilité des risques ou encore les priorités nationales en matière d'énergie et de développement durable. C'est une opportunité stratégique pour le Maroc à la croisée de la transition énergétique, de l'intégration régionale et du positionnement géopolitique de notre pays. Je vous remercie pour votre attention.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Benzaria, pour cette présentation assez riche en informations. So thanks again for mainly highlighting or providing this important assessment of the repurposing Morocco's gas infrastructure for hydrogen, technically and strategically. Thank you very much. Very, very interesting. So now we move from the pipelines to financing again. So Mr. Farouk, if you don't mind, in your opinion, what are what finance and what policy levers can accelerate this grid and storage upgrade for the Power-to-X scalability by 2030? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for this important question. I will try to give just some hints on the financing topic. I'm not a financial specialist per se, so I would be quite quick also because of the time management. So for me, two topics need to be tackled in terms of financing is to help the pre-feasibility studies of the project and being able to kind of de-risk this part of the life cycle of the project and specifically the early development to be able to get, for example, grants that could help in the first steps of development. The second point that I would like to highlight is mainly to see how we could de-risk this project in terms of technology, because this will allow to get better financing for this project. So this is very important to be able to de-risk, to get good financings. That's the guarantee, I would say, to reduce the investor pricing at the end of the day. Yeah, I'll stop here because I know that time is
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Farouk. I was told that His Excellency the Minister is here already, so we will try to rush a little bit. So, Mr. Zaki and Mr. Benzaria, a very quick my question, response, if you don't mind, about how can we ensure that building this new infrastructure doesn't slow down or compromise the entire clean energy transition. Thank you.
Yes,
We'll start
again,
with them.
to keep the answer short, 3 steps. I think we have to build it and in stages. Okay, have projects at prototype level or pilot cases, and then build it from there. Learn while we are building it, and then have a very solid and detailed measurement reporting and verification process. And then for early movers, we can have we can bring climate finance as well, which Mr. Farooq was also mentioning, to bring additional layer of financing. I think I'll stop at that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benzaria.
Yeah. It depends on priorities, okay? See, if you take the example of Europe, the priority is to step out from the natural gas. So then, the best option to avoid slowing down the development is to convert existing facilities to hydrogen. But for Morocco, that's not the case. For Morocco, the priority is first to develop the infrastructure for natural gas. So that means, in order to not slow down the development of hydrogen, the best is to make those infrastructure we are building today either ready for hydrogen, or to do like we do for the Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline project. We design corridors large enough for being able to install dedicated pipeline for hydrogen and avoid the nightmare of the land acquisition issues and things like that. And finally, another option is to, while developing those infrastructures, to develop projects in which the hydrogen is transformed and is exported, not directly as an hydrogen component, but as a part of another an e-fuel or like a green ammonia or product like this, for which we have already the way to transport those products.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Benzaria. Dr. Stefan, in 1 minute, please. I mean, how do we, get different companies and governments to work together to build these large interconnected systems? Thank you.
Okay, very briefly, I think it's all about cooperation. So we first of all have to bring all relevant stakeholders together, ideally along the entire value chain. Events like this are actually very, very suitable to do so. And then you have to align the strategic interests and formulate a common goal for this consortium, however you want to name it. And then it's about to join forces and share risk and burdens in the end. You have to identify financing mechanisms. Ideally, you have public-private partnerships or something like that. And then you need a contractual framework with which you can define clear responsibilities and commitments. I think this is very, very important at that point in time. And then, in the end, it's all about project management. It is about to build joint governance structures, committees, project management office, and having just a proper project management which guarantees transparency and also a proper timeline.
Thank you very much, Dr. Stefan. Finally, Dr. Hisham, if you could please give in 1 minute your takeaway message regarding the role of desalination that will play in this upcoming era of green hydrogen or Power-to-X.
Well, desalination is going to be vital for this hydrogen production in general. But I think even more important, and I would like to highlight this point, is the engagement of the universities in developing new technologies, training the next generation of scientists and engineers that are going to support this very important initiative. I don't think we're going to continue to rely on the same catalysts forever. And perhaps one day we're going to be able to do direct electrocatalysis of seawater. So we don't need to do desalination. And so there are already some studies done in this area. So we need to push collaboration between industry and academia to, and not only to train, but also to discover the next technologies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think we need to conclude. Unfortunately, we will not have time for questions from the audience, but thank you very much for your insightful presentations and interventions. I think definitely you uncovered that's the grid, the storage, the pipelines, the water supply, all this could be really converted from bottlenecks to opportunities. So thank you very much, and please join me to applaud all the panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Jawad. Thank you to our distinguished speakers for this really interesting panel discussion. Let's have you take your photo to keep a memory of this 5th edition of the World Power2X Summit. Thank you so much for sharing these insights on the essential backbone of the Power2X economy. We please invite you to join us in the audience and stay with us for our very special address. Thank you again. Please take your seats in the audience. Let's give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.